I will not Photoshop the truth, as it means to appease the uncomfortability of truth, truthfully speaking. I will not crop out what others prefer to go unsaid or resize truth for the purpose of fitting your frame. I will not resize or rotate or flip it so when you first hear it, it feels less offensive. I believe scars are lessons learned, so I won't even fix any blemishes. I want to adjust the contrast to make the message a little bit brighter. I will not add any special effects so the image looks like me as opposed to Christ-style. See, beauty is what you may see as ugly, because somehow Christ saw beauty in me. So I'd much rather shop his photo than Photoshop the truth. The Child Molestation Research and Prevention Institute states that there are more than 3 million kids getting molested every 5 years. And some of these kids don't even have a way out. But Jeanette Mcghee tells her amazing story of how she overcame her terrible tragedy when her own father molested her when she was a child, and explaining that there is a way out. The Truth Without Photoshop by Jeanette Mcghee. He touched me. And he touched me again. While he was supposed to be babysitting. Had never left Cali, but now I wasn't even sure what states of mind I was in. I went from studying my 1, 2, 3s to three-way conversations with birds and bees. My thought process became a huge palette of complexities. Childlike was no longer as easy as A, B, C. Always believe Christ. Didn't ever feel God had inadvertently just knowingly left me. Now oppressive penetration, crooked range, Satan thought ugly variations would execute useful zeal. But I want to know why. I was looking and I was searching for a sign. Why was this happening to me? I was a small child making requests for oral sex. Not because I liked it, but because it hurt less. And it sparked a strange curiosity. When a sex scene would pop on the TV screen, I would fake sick the next day and go back and watch what my mom didn't allow me to see. Every issue begins with a small seed, so be careful what you planting in your spirit. Because even though most feel watching them graphic videos are for your enjoyment alone, please take note and allow me to forewarn that 87% of child molesters admit to trying to imitate something they saw from watching porn. And of course, there was a famous question. Why didn't I tell? See, I wasn't sure if it was my fault or if I was going to hell. And then he touched me, and this time was my own father. I was about 9 going on 10. What would make someone touch the unbegot tens? Hyperextending my brain trying to make sense of his intentions. All our teachers are saying she does not focus and she does not pay attention. But I was going to every extent I knew. But still I was frightened. What could not be forgotten? I felt used and thrown away like paper cups and paper utensils at 9 going on 10. He told me to drink this cough syrup. I tried to explain I was not sick, but he kept giving me cough syrup. We continued to try to get me high after I said no. As soon as my other brother went to sleep, he told me to sit on his lap. Keep shifting me on very uncomfortable positions which I thought I was somehow familiar with because of the first encounter. My heart beating out of my chest, and the tears began to roll down my eyes. I slept at the bottom stairs that night, went home the next day, and smiled like nothing happened. I said I smiled like nothing happened. Why? Because Satan is a deceiver. One who gives a false impression. Had me to believe that it was something I have done, because why else 2 grown men would come after me? So I began to change the way that I dress. I started to wear baggy clothes because I figured it would draw less attention. I said Satan is a deceiver. One who gives a false impression. I assumed numbness meant healing, so I took the pain, stored it back in my mind, put it in a safe, and intentionally forgot the combination. Out of sight, out of mind. I mean, they prayed for me, so I had to be delivered, right? Or at least I figured. But years later, it resurfaced, and I experienced a memory trigger. It became obvious I could no longer put a band-aid on a wound that needed surgery. But the wound was affected and started to spread in every area of my life. All because I didn't want to sign the consent form to go under God's knife. I didn't want the surgery. I didn't want to have to face reality. I didn't want to answer him or him to answer me. What kind of God would let an innocent child be molested? Well, allow me to share with you the most beautifulest, ugliest revelations. The same God who put his own son down the cross. The Christ is the resurrection, but you cannot just skip the cross. You cannot skip all the souls and all the sufferings that he came for that were lost. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. We do not see it, but he sees it clear. But some of us are running hazardly in the dark due to fear. God has amazing plans for us, but we got hang-ups. We hung up on trying to figure out why. Hung up on why us and not some other child. But Christ is the ultimate hung up. He was hung up for you. He was hung up for me. So enough with the hang-ups, because the hung-ups reign supreme. So to every little girl and every little boy who feels defenseless. For every man and every woman who feels like the enemy is beating them senseless. For every single swallow cry in the middle of the night so that no one can hear. For every face buried in pillows to hide the tears. For every voice that wants to speak out and tries but get a knot in their throat every single time. For every throat that the enemy tries to choke with asthmatic breath of anger. Christ is the breath of life. Let him be your inhaler. Some of us won't hear it unless from some of us who have went through. In that case, he allows me to stand here before you and stand as a testimony for you, and it was worth it. It was worth every mental and spiritual and physical pain. And I'll go through it again if he allows me to stand here before you again and encourage him to give him glory. Because like Paul, I reckon that the present suffering at this current time are just not worthy to be compared with the glory that should be revealed in us.